It's totally fine. We will now resume this meeting. We're going to move on to move on to 7B. Steve?
Yep. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, this is another proposed commercial project. This one involves a number of actions that need to occur for this to be approved. The first one is a general plan amendment and a zone change. And well, I'll state them and I'll discuss what they are briefly. The second one is an amendment to the Norco Hills specific plan. The third one is approval of the site plan, which is on the board before you. And then the last one is approval of a resolution for a conditional use permit to allow a drive-through. As you can see, the project is proposing two restaurants. One is a sit-down restaurant and one is a fast food potential. So that's the one that has the drive-through, and that is the one that needs the conditional use permit. The project is designed to maintain the existing signal that is located on Hidden Valley Parkway, where Corona Avenue at one time was going to go through. The signal will still stay there. It's not going to be known as Corona Avenue. It will take on the name of the shopping center when that gets established. This is a blow-up of where the project abuts up to what would be the knuckle of Corona Avenue and Sedona Lane. You can see where there'll be a new curved extended knuckle where the two streets intersect. There currently is an existing island in the middle of the street. That will be eliminated in place of this design that we see before you. And then the thick black line, that's the outermost line, that's the property line. They will end up dedicating that little sliver between the more inner dotted line, which is where the block wall would be constructed. And that will be constructed all the way over to the horse trail that's being extended between the trail on Hidden Valley Parkway and the trails on Corona Avenue and Sedona Lane. So that there'll be that connection through to those trails. The general plan amendment and the zone change that's being considered is taking 1.1 acres out of the Norco Hills specific plan and changing the general plan designation from specific plan to commercial general. And then the zoning would change from specific plan residential to C4, which is the zoning that is on 6th Street. And then there is a sliver of property on the adjacent A1 property to the north. The owner, who is the owner of both of the parcels, has already submitted a lot line adjustment. So a sliver of that property will be, it's 0.6, I forgot the acreage. It's point something acre. It's going to be added to this site. So the general plan amendment will change this property plus the sliver that I just spoke about from the adjacent A120 lot. It will change the general plan designation to commercial general on both of them and the zoning to C4 on both of them. Conditions were added by the Planning Commission. This is another project where the Planning Commission approved the site plan and the CUP, and those approvals were appealed by the City Council. And then the Planning Commission also recommended approval of the general plan amendment, zone change, and recommended approval of the specific plan amendment. Both of those require approval by the City Council. In its approval, the Planning Commission added that any utility boxes or facilities within the 12-foot horse trail extension be removed. And these have been included in the resolutions attached. Removable steel bollards be installed at each end of the trail extension between Hidden Valley Parkway and Corona Avenue, not El Paso, sorry, Sedona Lane. And then the third one is that the proposed hitching post type area, which is the dark brown on the exhibit before you, not include a watering trough, which was originally approved. And then lastly, to my memo that I handed out at the beginning, additional conditions that we're adding as a result of discussions, or changes as a result of discussions with council members. Prior to the issuance of building permits, the applicant developer shall submit a revised site plan to include a raised right-in, right-out controlled pork chop island and the westerly driveway, which is the one that's just west of the sit-down restaurant. That's a right-in, right-out only. There would be a pork chop island installed there that forces those movements, so it's not tempting to ignore that. Removable bollards, again, will be installed, but they shall be placed to prevent any vehicular access, but still allow pedestrian and equestrian access, and that is as approved by the Fire and the Sheriff's Department. And then there are conditions added, or proposed to be added, that there is some form of a maintenance group, whether it's an association or whatever, that will provide for ongoing maintenance of the traffic signal, the on-site trail connection that I just spoke about, the hitching area, which is theirs anyway, typically, but we're going to add that in. And then on-site landscaping, but also including off-site landscaping adjacent to Hidden Valley Parkway and then adjacent to the Corona Avenue, Sedona Avenue, Norco, that I was just speaking about. So those are the changes that we are recommending be added with the memo that I handed out at the beginning of the meeting. Again, the two approvals by the Planning Commission, site plan and CUP, were appealed by the City Council, and then the other approvals were recommended for approval, and those require approval by the City Council. And with that, I'll conclude my presentation and answer. Oh, and there is a mistake. I apologize. Councilmember Grunmeyer pointed this out, and Councilmember Nick. In condition number 50, it says that a fire hydrant needs to be installed on Chaparral, and that's nowhere close to this project. So that condition is amended to say that fire hydrants shall be provided as approved by the fire department. And with that, I'll conclude my presentation.
Does council have any comments? Berlin? Robin? Ted?
Steve, on the signal line, is the applicant going to be, since essentially it'll be his signal line, and no longer, is he going to pay for the maintenance on it then?
Yes.
Okay, so he'll pay the annual fee.
Yeah, he'll have to pay the upgrade on it to make it function. Right now, it's just the way it exists right now, or functions right now. It's triggered by in asphalt triggers on Via Bolero. It's going to have to be adjusted so it serves the needs of this property for allowing full turning movement at that intersection. So he's got to pay for that, and he's going to be also responsible for maintenance of it. Yes.
The only reason I asked is because if that light goes out, and the general public will end up calling us the services. So is it going to be part of our service, or is he going to pay us for the service, or he's going to have another service take care of it?
It'll be a situation where if it's just a general maintenance, he'll do that on his own. But if it's a public safety issue that's got to be dealt with immediately, the city will do it and bill him for it.
And that carries over whoever owns the property.
Yes.
Greg?
Thank you. Condition 44, see, street improvements and a signal modification are required for this project. What are we meaning by signal modification? We just talked a little bit with Ted on.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that the only signal modification?
Well, I won't speak for the city engineer. Whatever's required to make that function as a full-blown intersection, allowing full turning movements in and out of the project site, like it would have been had a street been there. So,
And does our police chief have input on that, also with the city engineer?
We haven't discussed it.
Would you have input with it?
I'd be sure we could look at it. Obviously, that's an area of concern because it is the bottom of the hill. So
Right.
the speed that is accumulated with people coming down that hill, we have to look at. But ultimately, it's engineering that has the.
But part of the design review is RSO.
Okay.
When they modify that sign, there's going to be design done for there. So,
All right, I just want to make, because now I got three of you at me, is the main concern is life safety. And coming down that hill, speeds are accelerated. So I just want to make sure that with our city engineer that our police chief has input to come up with the most safest approach.
And it could be even modification to the existing, because there already is an existing warning sign coming down Hidden Valley Parkway that signals approaching.
Right.
It could be modification to that, you know, maybe that changes with changes to the intersection itself that says you're approaching a red light or something like
All
that.
right. Now, staying on that same line, coming the opposite way, you're on Hidden Valley and you want to turn left into that new subdivision, correct? Does signal modification come into that?
Yes, because there's going to be a dedicated left turn lane to get into the center, so it's got to be modified to accommodate that.
Okay, all right.
Councilman, we're going to also look at the striping right there and everything when we do this modification to that
Okay.
sign. So that has to be part of it. That's why the review design on that will have to include RSO.
Good, all right. Okay. Once again, in condition 27, we're going to have a completion bond, a performance completion bond on the building, along with public improvements. Then, I think that'd be it on the conditions, Steve. Just a couple of quick questions. At the intersection of Corona and Sedona Lane, where we're proposing the new block wall, we have an existing sewer lift station that the city does the maintenance and the cleaning on that lift station, correct?
Correct.
And how will we have access to that for our equipment?
Well, it will be on the public side of the wall. And that thick, that black line that goes around, that's the property line. That's
Okay,
not a wall.
so the lift station will be on the outside
Yes,
of the block wall, off of Corona Avenue?
yes.
Okay. And it's existing, correct. Then at Corona and Sedona, we're taking it out the small little traffic circle.
Yes.
And what I'd like to recommend is, in lieu of an uphill on Sedona, that we add a speed table to slow the traffic down that's coming down Sedona to where they hit that turn onto Corona Avenue.
Okay.
Just the same example as we have on Corona Avenue. And that's all I have right now.
The applicant's here? Yep, there you are. Do you have something you'd like to say up front? I'll open the public hearing.
No, I'll answer any questions if I can.
Okay, well then we'll have you go up and down, up and down, up and down like the guy before. So I'm now going to open the public hearing. You have 3 minutes. Mike Thompson.
Okay, good evening again, council.
Aye.
I have a concern on the lawsuit that's, I believe I am concerned that it's on hold over the disclosure for this in Valley View.
No, the city was successful
environmental impact report was certified by the court
Okay,
in 2006.
so it's all gone then, okay. 'Cause I was, okay, so along with that, one of my other concerns was that in planning kind of brushed over it, and then Steve just mentioned that the sheriff's department signed off that they didn't really need access to Corona Avenue through there anymore, but I haven't heard anything about the fire department. And during planning commission, it was mentioned that the fire department could, if need be, in a major catastrophe, the horse trail was wide enough to access that into town, but I haven't officially heard that the fire department would never need access to Corona Avenue through that section again. And I'd like to think that that would be on record, that along with the sheriff's department never needing access, the fire department was on board as well, officially. And the one thing in this project that was a right-hand turn lane into the project. I'm for this project, by the way, it's a good thing for over there. But there was a right-hand turn lane on the westbound Hidden Valley, or a cut-in. And again, you guys talking about the speeds coming down the hill. And if there was a cut-in right-hand turn lane originally, and that's disappeared now, then that concerns me, that with the speeds coming down the hill, it would really be a public interest to be able to get into the paperclip on its own separate entity out of the mainstream of traffic to make the right-hand turn into this project, if that can be accomplished somehow. So that's just my couple of concerns, otherwise. Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Another response.
Marty, Marty. Hi.
I just wanted to give my support for the project, that this once and for all settles the issue of opening Corona. So I've been there from the beginning, tired of it, wanted to be done. And also, I like your suggestion of having that extra lane to turn in. That sounds
We
good.
both had brown hair when it began.
Yeah, yes.
So did I.
That's really all I have to say.
Thank you. Corinne Holder.
She left.
She left. Pat Overstreet.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and congratulations to our new council people, and welcome back, Mr. Hanna. I love this project. I don't care if there's noise or light pollution. I just want to see this commercial thing go in. I want the block wall and any vegetation they can plant. I know Mr. Olson has kept me in his information loop for a long, long time. And the plans that he has for this commercial area, should it go through, will bring income into the city. It's a perfect spot for it since you didn't put a A120 home there. I'm all for the project. I think Mr. Newton's idea of a speed table on Sedona is a really great idea. It'll complement the ones, believe it or not, on Corona Avenue, they do slow it down. You know when they don't because you can hear everything pop in their truck, but then they really do help it somewhat. But I would love to see it, and I hope Mr. Olson will talk to the Lewis architects for the design on any buildings that go in there, because I guess the Lewis project's really very gorgeous. I haven't seen the pictures. I've just heard that it's very nice. So maybe that's an idea, Mr. Olson, and talk to those architects and get some nice looking buildings. But whatever you put in there, I'm going to be thrilled, and I will kiss the block wall.
All right, let's start with Greg. Anything else? Any questions for the applicant?
No, not really. I have a few more for Steve. Or at least direct them towards Steve. Is on what Mike brought up about the dedicated right turn, and we may have touched on it, was you and I had a conversation on this coming down Hidden Valley, and that, you know, if we can deal with it the way we just addressed it, I don't think there's a possibility to develop a right block Is there? Or was there at one time? That's what I'm
Yeah, no,
confused about.
I made a mistake, I know it's hard to believe, but the planning commission, I did mistakenly say that there was a right turn pocket going into the project site. Because when we first started talking about it, we looked at the possibility of it, but in order to do that, you would have to. The property from that property, right? It's an existing house. We could do it with eminent domain, but there's no money to do it, so.
You can use eminent domain for public improvements.
Yes.
But you have to pay.
Agenda.
Okay. That's the other part. On the traffic analysis, that was an independent company?
Yeah, and it concluded that the right turn pocket was not needed.
Okay. Architecture, and I just want to make clear about on this that, looking at the proposed elevations, they can use some enhancement, is my opinion, and I want to make sure that that will be going back to our architectural subcommittee.
Yes. Yeah. These were done to show how the buildings could sit and get an idea of what they would look like. This is not the finished architectural proposal because we don't know who the clients are going to be at this point. So yes, it is conditioned to go back to the architectural review subcommittee.
Being nice about the architectural elements, that they need to be embellished, right?
Yes.
And then my last question, if the fire chief wants to address the trail access for emergency vehicles, and Eric, if you have any 2 cents on that, I'd sure appreciate it. Thank you.
So we have no opposition to it. It's where the dollars are there. If we needed an extreme circumstance for access into that neighborhood or evacuations, we'll use it. It will not be a daily route that we utilize the way we use the roadways as they're designed. But it is an option for us, so if we need it, it's there.
And on the bollards, you'll require them to have like a Knox lock, Knox padlock?
So we padlock at the bottom so the engine companies can open.
And from our perspective, it's simply that we have no objection to it. We haven't had access to Corona Avenue in that area, and I can't recall, it's been quite a few years, so where we understand that there's no access to Corona Avenue there, so we have other routes that we would take. But we have no objection with the property moving forward as is.
Thank you.
You know, and on the plan, we talked about it, and Steve did say near that he talked about the right-hand turn lane there. I went back and I checked to see if it would be possible, because instead of a 15-foot wide lane, we'd have a 12-foot wide lane there. And to try to get that right turn lane, it just won't work. It's not a safety factor. And after dealing with this, and Eric can appreciate this, you know, as a law enforcement officer, you're always going to look at things, and especially when you're dealing with traffic, because the engineers will tell you what they can and can't do, except you blame the engineer when you see all the TCs occur at an intersection because they goofed it up. But then you have to realize there's a human factor involved that they put into. But bottom line is the traffic engineer is the expert. So in this traffic study, and I was curious to see what it would be, we can ask for the right-hand turn lane, but if the traffic engineer says it's not necessary, it's not then, we come down to litigation, he's the person that would have to be the same. That's his decision. And that's why, you know, and I understand the concerns coming down the hill, but if we properly put the safety notices out, slow down traffic, signal ahead like there is, cross traffic ahead, at least we're doing something to do it. But again, it goes back to that traffic engineer deal, and that's why I look at it.
I met with Steve on Monday and we went over some of the things, so I'm good with the project, and Steve answered the questions. I also brought up the right turn lane and was told that the property there wasn't available, so I'm good with the project, and thank you for meeting with me the other day and going over my concerns.
Berwin?
No, I don't have any problem with it. The only thing I've been concerned about was emergency access in case we have a disaster here, but the horse trail is supposed to be used for emergency vehicles, so this is 12 foot wide, and if it's okay with the fire chief and the lieutenant, I'm fine with it, and the rest of it looks okay. One thing though, when you talk about putting that speed hump over there on Sedona, is there a lot of traffic that comes down there, Pat, down Sedona and makes it over your street?
Say that again, Berwin, who went?
There are a lot of traffic that comes down the hill on Sedona.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Well, I know you got the horse trail crossing there, so people just have to look out, but maybe if they have a speed hump up above that or something, it'll slow them down a little bit, like over on Christian. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for the applicant? Then I will make a motion to approve with the speed table. Was there anything else that people wanted to add? Yeah. But is there anything else that needs to be added other than the speed table on Sedona? Was that it? All right, well, so I make motion 1, adopt a mitigated negative declaration. Do I hear a second?
Newton.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Grunmeyer.
Yes.
Bash.
Yes.
Motion passes.
I make motion 2, adopt ordinance number 998 for first reading, approving general plan amendment 2015-01 and zone change 2015-01. Do I hear a second?
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Norco approving zone change 2015-01, changing existing zoning from specific plan SP and agricultural low density A120 to commercial C4, and change the corresponding general plan designation from specific plan and residential agriculture to commercial community on 1.39 acres on the north side of Hidden Valley Parkway, east of Yasmin Street, zone change 2015-01, general plan amendment 2015-01.
Newton. Hoffman.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Grunmeyer.
Yes.
Bash.
Yes.
Motion passes.
I make motion 3, adopt first reading ordinance number 999, approving amendment 13 to specific plan 91-01, Norco Hills specific plan.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Norco approving zone change 2015-01, approving specific plan 91-02, amendment 13 to detach approximately 1.1 acres on the north side of Hidden Valley Parkway, east of Yasmin Street, specific plan 91-02, amendment 13.
Newton. Hoffman.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Grunmeyer.
Yes.
Bash.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion 4 I make, adopt resolution number 2015-77, approving site plan 2015-22.
Second.
Newton. Hoffman.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Grunmeyer.
Yes.
Bash.
Yes.
Motion passes.
I make motion 5, adopt resolution number 2015-78, approving conditional use permit 2015-25 for a drive-through associated with a proposed restaurant building and site plan 2015-22.
Newton. Hoffman.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Grunmeyer.
Yes.
Bash.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Move on to moving on to City Council and City Manager Staff Communications. Anyone? This is your time.
All right. Oh my God. Come on, I'm gonna let you go. It's my first night. All right, you're stopping me. I got my 3 minutes, okay? All right. Just so that for most of you guys know that I'm heavily involved with the Pro Rodeo Association. And I was at South Point Hotel and Casino this week. Steve Stallworth, who is the South Point arena director, he was ecstatic. He says, I hear your Silver Lakes Park is going to have the horse show here in December 13th.
So, and the fact that we're gathering all these soccer, so we're, just to let you know, they do a lot of big shows at the South Point, the arena there, with English shows, and they know about us, so we just thought I'd pass that on. So, the other thing that I have is, and I'd like to see this get agendized if we could, and that was recently, we had a promoter come and presented an event to the city that generated some controversy among the residents. And before I don't want to discourage people from coming here. We're a destination city. And yes, we have some events that don't always fit into what we consider our lifestyles. But at the same time, I don't want people to think we're negative about doing that. So, Mr. Mayor, what I'm asking for is agendize the fact that perhaps we could develop a committee made up of 2 parks commissioners, 2 streets and trails commissioners, and 2 EDAP commissioners, and some city staff, to where they could look into determining what kind of events we want to bring into town and what kind of events we don't want in town, but nothing to do with our established venues. Now, in other words, I don't want to pick apart Ingalls Park, the equestrian center there. But when we go out in open spaces, when we have maybe a street fair, with Silver Lakes coming in, we're going to see other events coming on. And this way maybe there's a plan involved. I'd rather be ahead of this than be behind it. That way we don't have to do anything.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Grunmeyer.
Yes.
Bash.
Yes.
Motion passes.
You have any, Berwin?
Yeah. I've been thinking about this for a while. I'd like to agendize talking about the video camera. Everybody has a right for cameras and stuff, but I think it'd be better if we place that camera on the wall, on that side of the room. I'd like to agendize to talk about that.
Second.
Sure, I mean, as we've discussed, we're obviously aware the city can't prohibit videotaping of their meetings, but the city can establish reasonable regulations if there's an issue concerning interference with resident seating, or you could designate an area, I guess is what I'm saying.
No. Well, what prompted this is some residents they feel like they're being filmed, so we need to find a way to accommodate everybody. So I second that motion.
Newton.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Grunmeyer.
Yes.
Bash.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Anything else, Berwin? Robin?
No.
Greg?
Thanks.
Good.
I'd like a follow-up. We've talked about this before, the traffic signalization at Hidden Valley and the freeway. Somehow I remember we were to look into straightening that mess out.
We actually have a traffic engineer looking at that right now.
Okay.
That's one of the locations there, and also Hamner and 6. Those are 2 of the locations. Plus, we're looking at 2nd Street as well. So those are all actually being done right now. Those have all been implemented. Albert Grover is the one who's doing that work for us.
I know the one resident's appreciative of you looking at 6th Street and Sierra, and some other concerns at Hidden Valley. And just because I haven't picked on this in a long time, at Detroit and Hamner, the center median, can we do something with that now that we paved the road?
Thank you. I was going to ask.
You know, to the bridge, we have the Silver Lakes traffic, and we have this completely done except for finishing, okay? Fill it with rock, I don't care.
It's set up for power, it's set up for irrigation, everything.
It is.
It's just, the issue is we ran out of money on that project, and so with we can take a look at it, maybe bring that back as a mid-year budget.
Eagle Scout project.
Yeah, that's a little more than I think we want to leave Scout to look at, so, because it's in the right of way.
How about we get a cost put together.
We can do that, take a look at it.
And then
Something very drought resistant and very,
Yeah,
you know,
just
low
something other than
maintenance.
the dirt, to make it look finished. And the last thing, if you would follow up with council, is on the change order for the additional fencing in the peninsula area, the status of that.
We priced it out. There's quite a bit of linear footage there. So the actual cost about $82,000 to complete that. So Andy and I have taken a look at that, and that might be something we need to bring back. The concern I have is that there's a lot of linear footage there, and it's not going to be a simple, you know, it's a significant amount of money to do that, because you have one street that's got trophies on both sides of the street, so that adds to your linear footage. Even when we take out, you know, the sides of the driveways and all of that, we're still, and we actually had walked linear footage on it. So at our price at $12 linear foot, it worked out a little over $82,000.
Should that be something that, Andy, you want to agendize, or do you want to handle it? How do you want to handle it?
Yes, based on a preliminary look at the funding available in the trial fund, there is not sufficient uncommitted funds to do that project. At the direction of City Council, obviously, we can look at other alternatives of providing funding for that if that's a priority of the City Council.
I'd like us to look at that, so.
Second.
Newton,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Hannah, Grunmeyer, Bash.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Anything else?
Thank you.
No, sir? Is it? Okay, I have just a couple of things. One, Crestview, Brian, where the cul-de-sacs go butt up next to apparently the Crest Lawn property. We had told those people we were gonna put in K-rails, and now I understand Crest Lawn's kind of giving us a hard time, but is there some way we can go there and? Okay, we'll take it offline. If nothing else, maybe what we can do is we can clean out the ditch and put sandbags along there to help them out. And I'm not sure what.
I think this is something that we're going to talk to council about.
Okay.
So,
Okay, then I will agendize the completion of the Crestview project, please.
no.
We're talking about that in closed session.
Oh, closed session, okay. Oh, jeez. And then, clearing the area to the bridge, but with that sort of valley that goes to the bridge on the Silver Lakes, I want to get that cleaned up if we can. And then there's the guy on Valley, is it Valley View where we took all the took all the encroachments out, Valley View? Corona. JD, who has a property that goes straight up like this, he can't get up his driveway when it rains. And we promised that we would help him get up his trail, up his driveway. And we've got to find a solution for him, and I don't know what to do, so we can. It's just, what happens is it's so steep, he can't get his truck up the driveway. He can't get it up there, it just slides. And what happens is he drags the stuff right up onto the concrete, and he can't pull his trailer up onto the property, and we promised we would help him. And I'm not sure what we do, maybe put tank tracks on his tires or something. And that's all I have. Anybody else have something? Oh, one other thing, I'm sorry, EDAC. We need to get to the bottom of whether or not that Melissa is quitting or not quitting to open that spot up on EDAC. We can find out. Anything else? Staff? I think tonight we're finished. We're adjourned.
Brian, you gotta reset that clock.